On October 8th of 2025, police in New Britain, Connecticut received a 911 call from someone reporting suspicious activity. They said that a man was dropping off items, including a bin, behind a known abandoned or vacant property.
It happened about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Police said they got a call for some suspicious activity, and when they got there, they were looking around inside the house. It looks like somebody's kind of been living in there. It's been boarded up. There's no electricity to the house. The meters have been pulled. But along the fence line, there was a container with what they believe were human remains.
When police responded to the scene, they discovered the remains of 12-year-old Jacqueline Torres-Garcia inside a plastic storage bin. They believe that Mimi died in the fall of 2024, so she would have been only 11 years old then, based on the advanced stage of decomposition and when she was last seen alive. Now, we have spoken about this case before here at Grizzly True Crime. My name is Grizzly K. Hope you'll consider subscribing and becoming part of this community. And we did a deep dive on what we knew at the time. Now, since then, there's been probable cause hearings for all three people that were arrested in this case, which includes Mimi's mother, aunt, and the mother's boyfriend as well. And these probable cause affidavits are so detailed that I'm going to let you know it absolutely comes with a trigger warning. It involves themes of child abuse and, of course, the murder of a little girl. So just know that it is upsetting to hear, but I'm going to read you the PCAs today. Please note that this content is for adults only. Viewer discretion advised. If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe, like, and share. Let's just recap who was arrested and what they're charged with before we get into that. So firstly, Karla Garcia, the mother, 29 years old, she was charged with murder with special circumstances, conspiracy to commit murder, first-degree unlawful restraint, risk of injury to a child, tampering with physical evidence, intentional cruelty to a child under 19, improper disposal of a body, and she's being held on a $5 million bond. Then her boyfriend, who looks like this because apparently the police pursued him and it was a bit of a car chase and he had an accident and then he got all, bruised and scratched from that before they arrested him. But Jonatan, and yeah, it's not Jonathan, it's Jonatan Nanita, the mother's boyfriend, 30 years old, has been charged with murder with special circumstances, conspiracy to commit murder, risk of injury to a child, first-degree unlawful restraint, intentional cruelty to a child under 19, improper disposal of a body, and tampering with physical evidence. And he is also being held on a $5 million bond. And then lastly, we have the aunt that was also arrested, Jacklyn Garcia, 28 years old. She's charged with first-degree unlawful restraint, risk of injury to a minor. She's previously abused her own infant daughter. They're going to get into some of those details in these PCAs as well. And also intentional cruelty to a person under 19, and she's being held on a $1 million bond. So if you want to go through the rest of the presentation, just go check out that initial episode we did. This remains an active investigation, with authorities urging anyone with information to contact New Britain Police or the Farmington Police. The numbers are on the screen, in the description box, and all over social media as well. So let's now have a look at the probable cause affidavits. I'm going to start with the mother's one, then we'll look at the boyfriends, then we'll look at the aunts. There's a little bit of overlap between the mothers and the boyfriends, so we'll only read the pages that are different in the boyfriend's probable cause affidavit. But this mother's probable cause affidavit is 17 pages long, and the aunt's one is 9 pages long. So we have a lot to go through, and yes, it's very upsetting. Okay, so just know that. Thank you so much to Grizzly Cat for helping me to obtain these documents. They were initially sealed. Like, they released them to some media outlets, sealed them, couldn't get them, and then they unsealed them. So now we have them. Okay, sometimes it's like, oh, careful what you wish for. I love documents and I love reading documents, but some of these, oh my goodness, it's very upsetting. So let's go from the top here. This is about, you could see here, Karla Garcia, right? That I, Detective James McCowan, am a police officer for the town of Farmington, Connecticut. I've been a sworn police officer in the state of Connecticut since September of 1988. And so it goes on to qualify who's writing the PCA. I do also want to say that I've redacted this to comply with YouTube's community guidelines. So on 10/8 of 2025, the New Britain Police Department received an anonymous tip concerning the location of a possible dead body on Clark Street in New Britain. New Britain PD responded and found the deceased in a plastic bin behind Clark Street in New Britain. The deceased was in advanced stages of decomposition. New Britain PD conducted the investigation under case number as such, right? On 10/9/2025, at approximately 9:30 hours, the Farmington Police Department was contacted by Inspector Forrest Ballou of GA18 that the remains of a dead body had been located behind Clark Street in New Britain on 10/8/2025. Investigation by the New Britain Police Department determined that the remains may be that of a 12-year-old girl tentatively identified as Jacqueline Torres-Garcia, her nickname is Mimi, and that she may have died in Farmington. The New Britain Police had identified the anonymous complaint or complainants as redacted Davis and Abreu. Based on their interviews with Davis and Abreu, New Britain PD identified a Marrero as being the person who informed them about the tote possibly containing a dead body and that it was located on Clark Street in New Britain, in Connecticut. So, see something, say something. That's what these people did. Davis and Abreu provided New Britain with a photograph of the vehicle that was used to drop off the tote, a grey Acura MDX bearing license plate number redacted. The New Britain PD interviewed Marrero, who stated that her boyfriend, which is interesting because Jonatan was dating Karla Garcia, and had 3 children with her. But okay, this one, her boyfriend, Jonatan Nanita, picked her up at the end of September, the 29th or 30th, in his Acura and told her he needed to pick something up. She remembered Nanita driving to a cemetery, picking up a tote, putting the tote in the trunk of his Acura, and then driving to Clark Street, where Nanita removed the tote from the trunk and placed it at that location. She remembered that the tote smelled bad. After thinking about it, Marrero believed that the tote may have contained a body, and she told her friends. On 10/9 of 2025, Lieutenant Keepin, Detective Hopkins, and I went to the New Britain Police Department and met with several New Britain police officers, to include Lieutenant J.D., that's a difficult surname to say, Krolikowski, Detective Carl, Mordasowitz, and Officer Gillian Corwick. Also present was Inspector Forrest Ballou of GA18. New Britain briefed us on the investigation. New Britain Police had identified and interviewed several individuals connected to the investigation, to include the mother of Jacqueline Torres-Garcia, deceased, Karla Garcia, that's the mother's name, the Garcia's boyfriend, Jonatan Nanita, and Garcia's sister, Jacklyn Garcia, and Jacqueline Torres-Garcia's birth father, Victor, of Florida. We learned that Karla Garcia had 2 children with Victor. That was Jacqueline Torres-Garcia and NG. And NG is actually a similar age to what Jacqueline was. NG is around 11 years old now. And Jacqueline was just about to turn 12, right? So 2 children with a different dad. I'm saying it because remember Gannon Stough's case and how Letitia Stout, for example, treated her stepson? This is another case where Jonatan Nanita, the stepdad, seems to be targeting children that are not his own. I don't know if the other child experienced any abuse or if they're male or female or not, but it's really hectic. So Karla has 2 children, with Victor, and 3 with Jonatan Nanita. So their initials are JN, MN, and AN. When interviewed by New Britain PD, Karla Garcia and Jonatan Nanita gave different accounts, of course they did, concerning what happened to Garcia's daughter, Jacqueline Torres-Garcia. Karla Garcia, the mother, originally told New Britain detectives that her daughter was fine and visiting a friend. Garcia then stated that in October of 2024, when she was 6 months pregnant with her daughter AN, she was arguing with her daughter Jacqueline, who was upset that she was pregnant again. She stated that during the argument, Jacqueline pushed her down the stairs inside her house, causing both of them to fall down the stairs. Garcia stated that Jonatan became upset with Jacqueline, kicked her in the head, and dragged her off. Garcia stated that she never saw her daughter again after that. Garcia denied any knowledge of the tote containing her daughter. Just know that they go layer by layer. I hope one day we get to see these police interviews, because my goodness, these people can lie. And they definitely throw each other under the bus. But okay, that's her story as she starts off with. First, she's fine. She's just visiting a friend. Oh my. Okay, well, so it's victim blaming. She pushed me down the stairs, and then my boyfriend took care of that, and I never saw her again. Right. So, Jonatan Nanita, who stated he was homeless after Garcia kicked him out, told New Britain detectives that Garcia contacted him and asked him to dispose of the tote that was outside her apartment building near the garbage. That's how you're going to talk about a child in a tote? Whoa. He drove to Garcia's apartment at redacted Tremont Street in New Britain with his current girlfriend, placed the tote in his truck, and per the instructions of Garcia, he drove to a nearby cemetery to hide the tote. He did not find a good location, so he drove the tote to Clark Street and dropped the tote in the backyard. At least he was dumb enough to do that, hey? When detectives asked him about Garcia's daughter Jacqueline, he told them about going to Garcia's home in Farmington after recently being released from prison. He stated that when he arrived at the Wellington address, he noticed a lot of blood on the walls and floor by the stairs. He asked Garcia about the blood, and she told him not to worry about it and that she would clean it up. He stated the next day everything was cleaned. Nanita told detectives that when he asked Garcia about her daughter Jacqueline, she told him not to worry about it. Nanita told detectives that he did not see Jacqueline after that day. The New Britain police had located and seized the vehicle suspected as being used by Nanita to transport the tote bin from Tremont Street, New Britain to Clark Street, New Britain. The vehicle, an Acura MDX bearing misuse CT registration plate redacted, was located in front of Tremont Street in New Britain, Connecticut. A search and seizure warrant for the Acura a search and seizure warrant for the Acura. It says and executed. So they got one and executed on 10/10/2025. Located inside the Acura was a pair of male denim pants which had a red blood-like substance on the thighs that field tested positive for blood. Also located on the floor of the trunk lining were small granules of white powder. Oh dear. On 10/9/2025 at 9:30 hours, Detective Paul O'Connor of the New Britain Police Department attended the autopsy of the remains located in the tote behind Clark Street in New Britain, Connecticut, at the office of the Chief Medical Examiner. Detective Martin of the Farmington Police Department later joined the autopsy in progress. The autopsy was conducted by Dr. Melissa Pascal Stiles. Trigger warning. Detective O'Connor reported that the autopsy began with the opening of the 40-gallon tote container and the removal of a white laundry basket containing a multicolored comforter and bed sheets. Inside the comforter were plastic trash bags containing human remains. Dr. Pascal Stiles identified the remains as an adolescent female who was folded at the waist with the legs curled up against the torso and knees facing the skull, fetal position. The skin appeared to be glued to the bones, and the body had lost fluids, which filled the bottom of the tote. The body weighed approximately 26 to 27 pounds. A pair of female underwear was still on the body, and her hair was short, dark, and curly. There was no fly or maggot infestation, but there was a strong odor of ammonia emanating from the remains. Additionally, a white powdery substance was observed and may have been poured on post-mortem. This was believed to be causing the ammonia smell and was believed to be used in an effort to preserve the body or mask the decaying smell. Dr. Pascal Stiles noted that the condition of the corpse was due to severe malnourishment, not decomposition. Whoa, she found no signs of trauma or injuries to the body that would have contributed to her death. She also saw no signs of internal bleeding. Wow. So again, noted the condition of the corpse, 26 to 27 pounds. The condition of the corpse was due to severe malnourishment, not decomposition. On 10/9 of 2025 at 15:06 hours, Dr. Pascal Stiles contacted Detective O'Connor and advised that she had positively identified the body as that of Jacqueline Annette Torres by comparison of post-mortem x-rays to pre-mortem x-rays provided by the Hospital of Central Connecticut. She further stated that the cause and manner of death are both pending further studies. Dr. Pascal Stiles provided Detective O'Connor with a preliminary professional opinion that Jacqueline died of severe and prolonged malnourishment. She stated that due to the ammonia and lack of subcutaneous fat on the body, it's difficult to determine how long she'd been deceased, but stated that it could be a year. So remember, they believe she died in the fall of 2024, and her body was found in October of 2025. On 10/9/2025, we researched information related to Wellington Drive and confirmed its location in the Wellington complex off Main Street in Farmington, Connecticut. We contacted the owner of the condominium and its management company. We confirmed that Karla Garcia, her children, and boyfriend Jonathan resided at Wellington Drive in Farmington from June 21st of 2024 until March of 2025. On 10/9/2025, Detective Hopkins attended a forensic interview with NG, that's Mimi's biological sister, right, from the dad Victor, at the Klingberg Family Center in Hartford, Connecticut. NG is Jacqueline Torres-Garcia's younger sister and the daughter of Karla and Victor. NG was in the custody of DCF. During the interview, NG made no disclosures regarding any incidents of abuse in the house, and she did not acknowledge the existence of her older sister, Jacqueline Torres-Garcia, only her younger half-siblings. That tells me that these monsters put a lot of fear into that child, meaning don't even talk about her, don't mention her name, pretend she doesn't exist. That's so sad. On 10/9 of 2025, Lieutenant Keepan, Detective Martin, and I returned to the New Britain Police Department, where second interviews were being conducted with Karla Garcia and her sister, Jacklyn Garcia. At the New Britain Police Department, we remotely observed the second interview of Karla Garcia and a portion of the interview with Jacqueline Garcia. Both interviews observed were conducted by Detective Carl Modasowitz of the New Britain Police Department. On 10/10/25 or 2025, Inspector Forrest Ballou of GA18 informed our department that the Farmington Police Department would be the primary agency investigating the death of Jacqueline Torres-Garcia based on the information obtained that her death occurred in Farmington, Connecticut. I was assigned as lead investigator. On that date, we meet with the New Britain police investigators assigned to the case, who provided us with action footage of the interviews conducted at the New Britain Police Department, crime scene photographs, and any complete casework. On 10/10/2025, Officer Corwick of the New Britain Police Department provided me with information concerning her interviews with Jonatan Nanita and the Axon recordings of her two interviews with Nanita conducted at the New Britain Police Department on 10/8/2025 and 10/9/2025. The first interview was conducted by Officer Gillian Corwick of the New Britain Police Department on 10/8/2025 at 2018 hours. Nanita initially provided some background information about his relationship with Karla Garcia. He stated that they'd been dating for 7 years and had 3 kids together. He stated that they moved from Farmington, Connecticut to Tremont Street in New Britain at the beginning of this year, and that Garcia kicked him out of the house in August and he's homeless. He stated that Garcia had 2 children with another father, NG and Jacqueline, but only NG lived with her on Tremont Street. He did not know where Garcia's daughter Jacqueline was. This is the guy who dropped off the tote, okay? He stated that he had not seen Jacqueline in 2 years and did not know where she was staying. Okay, liar. Nanita confirmed his relationship with Marrero. When Officer Corwick asked Nanita about the bin he moved with Marrero, he initially denied moving any bin. During the interview, they spoke about Nanita's access to the Acura MDX. Nanita stated that the MDX was Garcia's vehicle, that she would let him use it. He stated that Garcia had the key to the vehicle and he did not. Later in the interview, Nanita discussed the bin. He stated that Garcia told him to move the bin and that he moved it, that's all he did. He stated that about 2 weeks ago, Garcia contacted him and asked him to move a bin. Officer Corwick asked Nanita who was in the bin. He first stated he did not know who was in the bin. Officer Corwick asked Nanita again who was in the bin, and he shrugged and said, I haven't seen Jacqueline. Officer Corwick asked if he knew it was Jacqueline, and he nodded yes. This guy, he's just like, I have no idea, okay, who's in the bin. And then they say, is it Jacqueline? Then he nods yes. Okay. Officer Corwick asked Nanita where he got the bin. He stated that it was in the back of Tremont Street next to the garbage. Nanita stated that he did not look inside the bin. He stated that Garcia asked him to move the bin and suggested he put it around Clark. Nanita stated that he was with Marrero when he moved the bin from Tremont Street to Clark Street, and Officer Corwick asked Nanita if he was at the cemetery. At first he stated he was not, then corrected himself that they did go to the cemetery with the bin. He stated he didn't know where to put it. So apparently, I think it's Karla's mother that's buried at that cemetery, and I think the original idea was to bury Mimi there, like in the same grave. Oh my goodness. But then Jonatan was like, I don't know where to put it. I went to the cemetery, I had no idea what to do, so I just drove to Clark Street and put the tote there. Okay, well, thank goodness he did that. That got them all arrested. Nanita stressed that he did not know where the bin came from, that he only helped Garcia to move it. He stated that after he moved the bin, Karla started calling him a snitch. Right. I think he can be called a lot worse now. He stated that Karla never confirmed that Jacqueline was in the bin, but she would give him hints. Nanita suggested during the interview that Garcia may have killed Jacqueline. This is when they turn on each other. Nanita stated that after he was released from prison, he walked into the house in Farmington and saw blood. He stated that Garcia was living there with her sister Jacklyn Garcia. He described seeing blood on the walls going up the stairs. He asked them what was going on. He freaked out and left. Oh, you're right. He freaked out and left. Okay. Officer Corwick asked again how he knew it was Jacqueline. He stated that he had not seen Jacqueline since the blood on the wall. He stated that he never had a conversation about what happened with Jacqueline. They all claimed to, didn't even talk about it. Jacqueline just vanished and that was it. No one spoke about it again. Right. He did not know what happened to Jacqueline until he moved the bin. Then he knew. Nanita stated that he got no explanation about the blood on the wall or what happened to Jacqueline. He stated that no one, including Garcia, her sister, or the kids, talked about it. Really? You're going to sweep that under the rug, the murder of a child? Wow. Okay, no one talked about it again. Nanita maintained that he did not know what happened to Jacqueline. Only Garcia, her sister, and kids were present in the house. Nanita stated that he left and the day after the blood was cleaned. Okay. After returning from a break in the interview, Officer Corwick returned to clarify the location where he saw the blood. Nanita confirmed that it occurred at Wellington Drive in Farmington. He did not remember the number, but thought it could have been, guessing numbers here. He described it as a condo rented by Garcia. He knows the number. Officer Corwick asked if he knew it happened in Farmington. He stated that he was not sure, but that was the last time he saw her. They spoke again about the bin. He stated that he never saw the bin prior to moving it and did not open it. Officer Corwick asked how long the bin had been outside Tremont Street. He did not know and did not notice it inside or outside prior to moving it. Officer Corwick asked him how the bin smelled. He stated, not good. Nanita stated that Garcia helped him load the bin into the Acura truck. He stated that he left in the Acura with the bin and met up with Marrero. He did not remember where he met her. He described driving to the cemetery off Stanley Street in New Britain. He drove to the cemetery but could not find a place to hide the bin, so he drove the bin to Clark Street. He stated that he left the bin outside and behind the building. Nanita could not remember the exact date or time, but estimated it was around sunset. The first interview concluded at 20:31 hours, and the second interview started on 10/9/2025 at 00:45 hours. You can already hear the defense will be like, but he was tired. He didn't even get what we've heard that lots, right? A blanket, food. Who knows that they were interviewing for so long. Okay, but moving on. So when Officer Corwick asked him if he would answer some follow-up questions, Officer Corwick had learned details of the interview with Karla Garcia, who had accused Nanita of killing Jacqueline. See? They tell the police that that one killed her, and this one said, no, that one did. And then the aunt is like just in the middle there. Garcia stated that she and her daughter got into an argument because Jacqueline was upset that Garcia was pregnant again. They fought and fell down the stairs together. Okay, mother of the year. Garcia stated that Nanita intervened and was kicking Jacqueline and stomping on Jacqueline's head. Garcia stated that Jacqueline was bleeding and crying, but she did not interfere because she was afraid of Nanita. Garcia told Detective Karl Mordasowitz Nanita collected trash bags and she never saw Jacqueline again. Garcia told the detective that Nanita was abusive and she believed that Jacqueline was dead, but she did not know what he did with her. She claimed to have no knowledge of the bin. She also stated that this occurred at Wellington Drive in Farmington and that she was 6 months pregnant with AN. Officer Corwick confronted him with Garcia's allegations that he was responsible for what happened to Jacqueline. Nanita denied responsibility and stated that he would never hurt a child. Officer Corwick detailed Garcia's allegation and he denied it. Nanita maintained that he was telling the truth and stated that he never hit the kids. Yeah, probably not his own. Speculate. During the second interview, Nanita agreed to provide his buccal DNA sample for this investigation. He completed and signed a consent to search DNA form and provided a sample. The second interview concluded at approximately 01:09 hours. On 10/10 of 2025, Detective Martin reviewed the two interviews of Karla Garcia conducted by Detective Karl Mordasowitz of the New Britain Police Department on 10/8/2025 and 10/9 of 2025. The first interview with Karla Garcia was on 10/8 of 2025 at approximately 22:30 hours. In that interview, Garcia confirmed that she lived at Tremont Street with her sister, Jacklyn Garcia, daughter, Jacqueline Torres-Garcia, daughter, NG. Oh, okay, daughter. So now we know. I wonder how NG was treated, right? Daughter, JN, son, MN, and daughter, AN. Garcia confirmed that prior to residing on Tremont Street, she lived at Wellington Drive in Farmington, Connecticut, with the same individuals and Jonatan Nanita, the biological father of JN, MN, and AN. When asked where her children were, Garcia responded that they were with a cousin on Dwight Street in New Britain. They discussed a relationship with Nanita. Garcia stated they broke up 9 months ago and that Nanita was abusive. Garcia reported that Nanita had hit her in the past, but that she was too afraid to report it to the police. She told Detective Mordasowitz that Nanita last lived with her when she was living in Farmington, but that he still had personal property at her Tremont Street home. Garcia agreed that Nanita would come and go freely regarding his residency there. Garcia stated that Nanita came to the house today, 10/8/2025, acting nervous and asking for money. Nanita then took their daughter, AN's iPad. Detective Mordasowitz advised Garcia that New Britain police had gone to the Dwight Street address and that all her children were accounted for except Jacqueline. Garcia acted surprised, repeatedly asking, "What do you mean?" She said all her kids were supposed to be at Dwight Street and confirmed they were there when she left. When asked if Jacqueline could have been with a friend or dropped off elsewhere, Garcia said no. Detective Mordasowitz then told Garcia that his supervisor had informed him her children were with her sister, Carolyn Cruz, on Kelsey Street, but that Jacqueline was still unaccounted for. Garcia again acted surprised. Detective Mordasowitz advised Garcia that Nanita told detectives what had happened earlier that day involving a tote. Garcia appeared confused and asked what had happened. Detective Mordasowitz informed her that no one had seen Jacqueline in over a year and that he believed Jacqueline's body might be the one recovered in the tote. When Detective Mordasowitz asked what happened, Garcia initially denied knowing, but then said it had been Jonatan Nanita. She said she'd been afraid to tell the police because she feared Nanita would kill her or her children, which could be true. Garcia continued to deny knowledge what had happened to Jacqueline, but said Nanita would know. She stated the last time she saw Jacqueline was when Nanita took her approximately 8 months earlier while they were living in Farmington. Garcia stated Nanita did not like Jacqueline because she was making her, Garcia, depressed, and she didn't like that she, Garcia, was pregnant with another one of his children, which could also be true. I mean, why is she even with this guy, right? And having so many children with him as well. Oh my word. So wait, Garcia stated Nanita did not like Jacqueline because she was making her depressed. I mean, it's a child you're talking about. This is so unfair. Garcia stated that Jacqueline threw her down a flight of stairs. The 11-year-old girl. Okay, right. Threw her down a flight of stairs when they were living in Farmington. Garcia explained that she was 6 months pregnant at the time. Garcia stated after the incident she didn't know where Nanita took Jacqueline, but she never came back. And she never reported it to the police. Clearly, she told her other kids, don't even talk about it at all. She doesn't exist, okay? Garcia later stated after falling down the stairs during the incident, she sustained injuries to her legs that lasted 2 weeks and resulted in permanent damage to her left leg. I would speculate that it's Jonatan that threw her down the stairs, but okay. Garcia said that after that fall, Nanita helped her upstairs to bed and she remained there for 2 weeks, unable to walk or use the bathroom without assistance. Garcia said she never saw Jacqueline after that, and that whenever she asked Nanita where Jacqueline was, he told her not to ask. Garcia told Detective Mordasowitz that it was not her fault, and she didn't know what had happened. Garcia stated that Nanita lived with her while they were in Farmington where this occurred. Detective Mordasowitz asked Garcia if she knew if Jacqueline was still alive, and she stated she didn't. Garcia went on to say that she wonders every day. Garcia explained that she's in fear for her life, in fear of her kids' lives, and that Nanita stalks her. Detective Mordasowitz asked Garcia if Jacqueline's sister, NG, ever asked where her sister was. Garcia stated NG was scared but never asked where Jacqueline was. Detective Mordasowitz asked how the relationship was between her, Garcia, and Jacqueline. Garcia stated that Jacqueline did not like her because her father's family put Jacqueline against her, made Jacqueline mad at her, and tried to keep Jacqueline away from her. If you want to know about the custody situation, all that, you can watch the live stream we did already that's linked in the description box, right? Detective Mordasowitz informed her that Nanita had told detectives what had happened. Garcia claimed that he was lying. When asked if Nanita had killed her daughter, Garcia said yes, explaining that Jacqueline had fallen down the stairs and Nanita had stomped on her head. Garcia stated Jacqueline was bleeding a little and she was moving. Garcia stated Nanita proceeded to pick up Jacqueline and throw her down the second set of stairs leading to the basement. She said she did not know what happened afterward, but that Nanita later told her that he'd put Jacqueline in a bag and put shit on her. Garcia said that Nanita had been dealing with it, and she was not the one covering it up. Garcia said that she did not tell anyone because she was afraid of Nanita, who had threatened to kill her through text messages. She attempted to show the detective the messages, but never produced any. When Detective Mordasowitz expressed disbelief, Garcia again described the incident, saying Jacqueline pushed her, fell on top of her, and that Nanita then began striking Jacqueline, stomping on her head before throwing her down the basement stairs. Garcia stated that people had asked about Jacqueline, and she told them she's not here. She said no one cared about her children, and that Jacqueline's father had not done anything for 9 months, leaving her to raise 5 children on her own. Garcia ultimately denied any involvement in Jacqueline's death or the disposal of her remains, continuing to blame Nanita. On 10/9/2025 at 19:39 hours, Detective Mordasowitz was tasked with conducting a follow-up interview with Karla Garcia after they obtained additional information from the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner's Office, OCME. The interview was conducted at the New Britain Police Department. Preliminary investigation of the autopsy of Jacklyn Torres-Garcia resulted in no obvious signs of recent trauma, but noted there were signs of malnourishment. Based on the preliminary autopsy results, the statements made by Karla Garcia during an interview with New Britain investigators on October 8th of 2025, where she said that Jacklyn Torres-Garcia was killed by her, Karla's boyfriend, Jonatan Nanita, by stomping on her head and throwing her down the stairs to the basement, are not consistent with the initial findings of the OCME. At the beginning of the interview, Karla provided a similar statement of how Jacklyn Torres-Garcia was killed. Karla Garcia stated that she and Jacklyn Torres-Garcia were walking down the stairs when Jacklyn Torres-Garcia suddenly pushed her down the stairs. Karla Garcia stated that she and Jacklyn Torres-Garcia were arguing because Jacklyn was upset with Garcia for having another baby. Garcia stated that Jacklyn did not want her to have any more kids and only wanted it to be her and her sister, NG. Garcia stated that she told Jacklyn there was nothing she could do about it since she was already 6 months pregnant. Garcia stated that she wasn't even halfway down the stairs when Jacklyn pushed her and her legs folded. Garcia stated that Nanita was smoking outside on the back porch and saw the entire incident from there. Garcia stated that Nanita came in and tried to help her up, but he couldn't pick her up because her legs weren't functioning from the fall. She's the victim, remember? Garcia stated that Nanita then picked Jacqueline up off her, Karla, and proceeded to stomp on her head 2 or 3 times. Garcia describes there being no blood at this time and that she was still moving after. Garcia stated it did not look like Nanita killed her since she was still moving. Garcia stated Jacqueline appeared to be scared from the incident. You don't say. Garcia stated Nanita subsequently dragged Jacqueline away by her arms. She claimed that she couldn't see where Nanita brought her because her legs were paralyzed and her view was blocked by a wall. Garcia went on to say that she heard what sounded like a body being thrown down a flight of stairs and she could hear Jacqueline crying. Garcia stated she never saw Jacqueline after that incident. She went on to say that she sustained such severe injuries from being pushed down the stairs that she was unable to walk for 2 weeks without assistance. Karla stated that during this time she was unable to check on the well-being of Jacqueline. She stated she would ask Nanita what happened to Jacqueline. He would tell her not to ask any questions. Garcia stated when people would ask about Jacqueline's whereabouts, including NG, she would tell them that Jacqueline ran away or that she was staying with a friend. Garcia stated that Jonatan told her to say that. Garcia confirmed this incident occurred when she was 6 months pregnant when she was living in Farmington, Connecticut. She estimated the incident occurred in October of 2024, which makes some sense, right? Garcia explained that while she was living in Farmington, the police had been called numerous times due to excessive noise from her and Jonatan arguing. She stated during one occurrence, a police officer had come to speak with her, and she told them that she was frustrated because she was pregnant and had to keep cleaning. Garcia did not mention when this happened, but based on in-house information, Farmington police responded to Wellington Drive on 12/29/2024 at approximately 20:59 hours on the report of yelling and banging coming from the unit. Farmington police officers noted they spoke with Garcia, who stated that she was in her last trimester of pregnancy and that she was frustrated. Garcia admitted to Detective Mordasiewicz that Jacqueline had been missing when she spoke with Farmington police. Okay. Garcia did not report Jacqueline to be missing at the time. During the interview, Detective Mordasiewicz confronted Garcia concerning the photograph of Jacqueline, which is lying on the ground, on top of pee pads, restrained in zip ties. The detective also confronted Garcia about Jacqueline appearing to be malnourished. Garcia initially denied having any involvement in restraining Jacqueline in zip ties and that she would always provide food for her. Later in the interview, she admitted that she saw Jacqueline restrained in zip ties on one occasion and she immediately cut the zip ties off. She later admitted she did apply zip ties to Jacqueline on 2 occasions after she was told to do so by Nanita. Garcia also admitted that she was forced by Nanita to withhold food from Jacqueline. Garcia later admitted that she and Nanita would mistreat Jacqueline together because Jacqueline was bad. She didn't listen. She didn't respect them. She's a child, hello. Garcia went on to say that Jacqueline was doing things that she wasn't supposed to do, including, here we go with victim blaming, including striking other kids, going into people's cars, and having 5 boyfriends. Oh, please, let's not project onto a child, okay, that you're accused of murdering. Garcia ultimately admitted that they stopped giving Jacqueline food for about 2 weeks prior to her death. Garcia admitted that she was hurt from her daughter not wanting her. I can't even, okay. So she would stop talking to her, stop feeding her, and restrain her in zip ties. Garcia stated that she would do this because Jacqueline was bad. She went on to admit that her sister, Jacklyn Garcia, Jonatan Nanita, and her, Karla, would all treat Jacqueline this way. Garcia admitted that Jacqueline had taken the photograph of Mimi Jacqueline, right? So Jacqueline, spelled with a C-K, is the aunt, right? Karla's sister. And Jacqueline, J-A-Q, right, is the little girl who died, okay? So Garcia admitted that her sister had taken the photograph of Jacqueline zip-tied. She stated that Jacqueline, her sister, wasn't living with them, but that when she was there, she would treat Jacqueline the same way. Garcia admitted that Jacqueline died sometime in her bed, but she wasn't sure exactly when. She stated that Nanita came downstairs one day and told her, Karla, that Jacqueline was not breathing anymore. Garcia stated that Jonatan moved Jacqueline's body to the basement, but she never went down there to see what he did with it. She stated the smell became so bad that they began to stay at hotels with other friends. Garcia admitted that when they moved to Tremont Street, Nanita transported Jacqueline in his car. She maintained that she never knew that she was in the plastic bin because Nanita had purchased the bin a few days before they moved and told her that Jacqueline was in it when they moved. Garcia told Nanita to leave the bin in his car. In his car. But remember, they're both like, it's her car, it's his car. Okay. Garcia stated that she believed that Jacqueline was deceased and her body was in the basement when Farmington police went to her house and spoke with her in December.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Is everything okay?
Yeah.
We got a call. There's a lot of noise coming from your apartment.
They're always called.
Okay.
Everything's good though.
Everyone's all right?
Yes.
Is anyone else home with you?
Just the babies and my boyfriend.
Okay. Is your boyfriend here?
Yeah.
Can I speak with him?
Yeah. Babe! Babe! They just want to make sure everything's okay.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm just pregnant. Just
Okay.
moods, you know.
All right.
But that's really it.
Hello?
He's coming up.
Oh, okay. Mind if I come in some and heat up?
Huh?
You mind if I come in some and heat up?
Sir.
Hey, how's it going? Good. We just got a call. There's a lot of
Okay.
noises and stuff like that. Everyone's okay?
Yeah, it's, my wife's pregnant, so she just be having mood swings. And
Okay.
I be trying to calm her down.
Okay. Things happen.
I'm at the end, so
Okay.
it's difficult.
All right. Well, I haven't met you guys real quick. I'm just going to write your names down, say I spoke with you, and get out of here, okay?
Okay.
Hi.
Say hi, baby.
Everything's okay. It's okay. How old are you?
Say 3.
3? 2? One more? There you go. Just one more, okay.
It's okay.
All right, what's your name?
Karla. Put a K.
K.
R-L-A.
And Carla, what's your last name?
Garcia.
And your birthday, Carla.
6196.
And sir, what's your name?
Jonathan.
J.O.
J-O-N is what I mean. J-O-N-A-T-A-N.
And Jonathan, what's your last name?
Nanita. N-A-N-I-T-A.
And your birthday.
9/29, 1995.
Okay. How long you guys been staying here?
Almost a year.
Yeah.
Okay. Things are good.
Yeah.
Sometimes the walls are, you live in apartments, walls
Yeah,
are
we
thin
always never
sometimes.
complain. They've been complaining since we first moved here, so.
Okay, so it's not the
We're
first.
planning on moving.
Okay.
We're actually moving.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, because of that.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, sometimes with apartments, you really can't choose your neighbors, right? So if someone is living one way, some live another way, and sometimes it just clashes. So just give me a minute, okay?
All right.
Just hang on with them real quick. What's your name? Forward 2 names.
You guys have any other problems with any neighbors or anything like that? It's just like noise.
First one, last name Garcia, common spelling. First name Karla, Karla, 6196. Last name Nanita, Nanita. First name Jonathan, common spelling.
Is this your
9/29/95.
Wait, I have a son. He's 1. Well, he just turned 2. I'm sorry. Keep you guys busy. Oh yeah. You guys got a place you're going to?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Where you got? Yeah.
It's better. Well, we came from New Britain. It's better over there because we don't have no complaints at all.
Yeah, it's a little bit different area. People are a little less likely to want to call for some noise and stuff like that.
Right.
Have a good night. We're out of here.
All right.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate
Bye.
it. You know,
Sorry.
You guys have a good New Year.
sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry.
No problem at all.
Happy holidays.
All right.
Same to you guys.
Enjoy you guys' night. All right.
You as well. Hey, don't worry about it. It's all good. Take care.
Garcia finished by claiming Nanita disposed of Jacqueline's body by himself and that she never touched the plastic bin. She further stated that she was unaware if Nanita poured any chemicals or powders on Jacqueline's body to try and mask the smell. On 10/10 of 2025, Detective Hopkins reviewed the interviews of Jacklyn Garcia, the aunt, conducted at the New Britain Police Department on 10/8/2025 and 10/9 of 2025. The first interview of Jacklyn Garcia was conducted by Detective Barry Hertzler of the New Britain Police Department on 10/8/2025 at approximately 22:39 hours. The video appeared to capture an interview that had already begun for Jacqueline, and she was speaking. Jacqueline spoke with Detective Hertzler and slurred her words as she spoke, appearing under the influence. Jacqueline mentioned that she was incarcerated at Niantic from December 2024 to August of 2025. Jacqueline stated she last saw little Jacqueline this morning. She says this morning, "Are you crazy, lady? They already know she was dead for a year, okay?" And she's like, "Yeah, saw her this morning at her older sister's house." Jacqueline then stated that the kids were with a friend, but she didn't know the friend's name or information. Jacqueline stated that Jonatan Nanita was not good and threatened everybody. It should be noted that during this interview, Jacqueline urinated in her pants. The second interview occurred on 10/9/2025 with Detective Barry Hertzler at approximately 19:39 hours. It appeared that Jacqueline was sober during the second interview. Jacqueline stated that she did not remember the interview room from the night before and stated that her pants were wet and she thought she peed herself. Jacqueline began asking questions about the evening before and stated she did not remember. Jacqueline stated that she found out everything yesterday, but admitted she had not seen Jacqueline in months. Jacqueline, her nickname is Mimi. Jacqueline confirmed that she was released from prison on August 15th of 2025 and moved into the Tremont Street address with her sister. Jacqueline finally stated that she believed she was being interviewed because her niece was found on Clark Street behind an abandoned building in a bin. Jacqueline stated she kept reading the article, referring to an online news article. Jacqueline admitted that when she returned from prison, she asked where Mimi was, and Nanita stated that she was with a friend. Jacqueline said the last time she saw Mimi was before she went to jail, when she was living at the house in Farmington. Jacqueline stated it was summer still. Whoa. Jacqueline had difficulty providing an exact date of when she last saw Mimi, but said the end of summer because it had started to get cold. Jacqueline estimated possibly August of 2024. And remember, Mimi was withdrawn from school in August of 2024. Detective Mordasowitz had concluded his interview with Karla Garcia and took over the interview of her sister, Jacklyn Garcia. Lieutenant Keepin, Detective Martin, and I monitored this portion of the interview remotely. Based on the disclosures from Karla Garcia that her sister was present during the abuse of Jacqueline and was an active participant, Detective Mordasowitz confronted her with this information. During the second interview, Jacklyn Garcia confirmed that her niece, Jacqueline, was deprived of food and made to stand in the corner. She confirmed that her sister Karla and Karla's boyfriend Nanita zip-tied Jacqueline as punishment and often kept her in the corner of the room where she would defecate and urinate on herself. Jacqueline admitted that she also zip-tied her niece. They all participate in this, but tried to minimize her involvement. She acknowledged that her niece Jacqueline was skinny and often deprived of food. Garcia did not believe it was lack of food that caused her death. Now that gets interesting, because Jacqueline, the aunt, says she stated she did not know her niece died until today. Oh, sorry, I just redacted that in case, but it was 10/9/2025, and that she last saw her alive in August of 2024 in their Farmington home. She admitted to taking and sharing a photograph of her niece zip-tied on a urination pad. Why would she do that? These people are so sadistic. Detective R-Truck of the New Britain Police Department conducted a canvass on Tremont Street in which a few anonymous neighbors reported a foul odor coming from the rear of the property near the garbage cans and property line that connects homes on Bartlett and Lawler Street. Another anonymous neighbor said her husband and their babysitter had noticed a foul odor coming from the Akura in late September. None of the neighbors mentioned seeing the tote bin, and none were able to confirm what the smell was coming from. Detective Niederman of the New Britain Police Department contacted the landlord at Tremont Street who had cameras on the property. It was determined that several of the cameras were offline between August and October and nothing of evidentiary value was found. On 10/11/2025, we spoke to the residents of redacted Wellington Drive in Farmington. The resident of Wellington Drive had made several noise complaints to the police concerning the residents of Wellington Drive during the known time frame that Karla Garcia and Jonatan Nanita lived at that location. We spoke first to the resident at redacted Wellington Drive. Their unit shares a wall with, and that they routinely overheard yelling, swearing, and items being thrown in the residence. The resident stated that at one point she contacted DCF and reported possible abuse or neglect of the 10-year-old female residing in the house, believed to be NG. You see? I worry about NG a lot as well. She stated that this female would often take out the garbage and carry large bags of groceries to include several juice or milk gallons by herself. She stated that she contacted DCF about the welfare of the children in the residence. She stated this child would also go outside and start the family vehicle when it was cold outside and was not dressed for the weather. The resident could not say exactly how many children lived there, but believed an older boy that had short curly hair and a darker complexion, the 10-year-old daughter, and then 2 and 3-year-old toddler. Later that evening, the resident called me and stated that she saw a news article about Jacqueline's death that included her picture. She now believed that the child, who she thought was a boy, was Jacqueline based on her complexion and curly hair. During the investigation, we learned that Jacqueline's aunt, Jacqueline, cut her hair short at one point while living in Farmington. The resident mentioned 2 incidents where she contacted the police. She stated in one incident that she could hear loud noises and arguing and a female voice threatening to break someone's neck. Whoa, okay. She also mentioned another call late at night when she contacted Farmington police twice. She estimated it was approximately midnight when she heard someone scream and heard something heavy fall. She stated she then heard Garcia yell something to the effect of "stop" or "don't." The resident stated that at one point she smelled bleach and stated she could smell it from her basement. She did not know if the family had moved out yet, if the cleaning crew was cleaning up from them, or if the family was still residing there. When she called me back concerning the identification of Jacqueline, she remembered having a conversation with the listing agent for that house on Wellington Drive after the family moved out. She stated that the listing agent also complained of a strong bleach smell in the basement. She confirmed the family operated a grey Acura van that had a temporary registration. She estimated that she saw the older boy in the family approximately twice, noting once when the family moved in and possibly once when they moved out. Detective Hopkins interviewed the resident of Wellington, who was an elementary school teacher in New Britain, where NG attended school. She stated that while the family resided at Wellington, it was always loud and she could hear young kids yelling during the night. She stated she routinely smelled weed on her back deck, noting it came from Nanita. She stated at one point that NG attended the school that she works at, North End Elementary, and there were several occasions in which she showed up with bruising on her body. To me, I speculate maybe Jonatan Nanita abused all the kids, but I think that he targeted the kids that were not his own, in my opinion. DCF had been contacted on several occasions and reports had been filed. She also stated that she believed that Karla had fraudulently sent the school a doctor's note regarding a bruise on NG's body. She said that NG was moved to Smalley School in New Britain. On 10/11 of 2025, I interviewed Jacqueline's father, Victor, at Farmington Police Department. He provided an extensive background information on his relationship with Karla Garcia and his children, Jacqueline and NG. Torres stated that he and Garcia met in high school and became pregnant with Jacqueline. He stated his mother became temporary guardian of Jacqueline immediately after her birth in 2013 due to legal issues resulting in their incarceration. Torres stated that his mother maintained custody of Jacqueline until she was 8 or 9 years old. NG was born during those legal issues, 2014, and that Garcia had custody of NG. Torres stated that by 2017, his mother had custody of both children. Torres was released in 2020, and his mother had custody of both children. In 2021, he and Garcia had joint custody. Then Garcia got full custody of the children in 2023. Torres stated that Garcia made it very difficult to see his children. He stated it got worse when he started seeing his current wife, and worse after she became pregnant and they married. Torres stated that the last time he saw his daughter was at her 5th grade graduation on 6/10/2024. Torres had a photograph of the event. Torres stated that when NG had her 5th grade graduation on 6/9/2025, Jacqueline did not attend. When he asked Garcia where Jacqueline was, she told him in school. Torres stated that since June of 2024, every time he asked to speak with Jacklyn Garcia, she told him that she was not home or at a friend's or another excuse. Torres stated that he moved to Florida this summer but has made several trips to New Britain where he has family. Every time he tried to visit or talk with his daughters and or drop off presents, he would be allowed to talk with NB but not Jacqueline. Torres stated that when Garcia moved back to New Britain from Farmington, she would not give him her address. He stated that Garcia would meet him in her car or on a side street. He stated that he grew so concerned that he contacted DCF to do a wellness check, but was told that they could not because he did not know where she lived. He stated that he had since become aware the DCF had done welfare checks on Jacqueline, but that a person posing as Jacqueline was a younger sister of one of Garcia's friends. Just when you think it can't get worse. Because people would ask, well, how did DCF not notice that Jacqueline's missing? Oh, Karla asked one of her friends, hey, can I use your child to pretend to be mine? Whoa. Okay. Torres stated that he was last at Tremont Street on Sunday morning, 10/5/2025. He brought McDonald's for his children. Garcia told him that Jacqueline was at a friend's house, which again concerned Torres because of the early morning hour. He argued with Garcia, and then Garcia brought NG down to eat McDonald's. Garcia allowed him to drive NG to buy shoes, which surprised him because she never allowed him to take the kids. He ended up driving NB to the West Farmers Mall, but Garcia followed in her car, and after spending some time in the mall, Garcia drove her home. Torres stated that he learned that Jacqueline was possibly dead on 10/8/2025 when his brother Melvin phoned him and told him that Jonatan Nanita, who Torres grew up with and had contact with because Nanita was dating Garcia, told a friend named Wee that Jacqueline was dead in the tote found that morning in New Britain. Torres stated after Nanita was questioned at the police station later that night, he was able to talk with him on FaceTime through a friend's phone. He confronted Nanita, who stated words to the effect that Garcia made him do it. On 10/12/2025, Detective Hopkins traveled to Wellington Drive in Farmington and met with the current homeowners. The homeowners moved from Arizona to Wellington on 7/3/2025. When they moved into the unit, they stated it was a mess and very dirty. A used stroller was in the closet. Dark red or brown gunk was on the stairs. A twin mattress was left in the basement closet, and several bottles of cleaning products, including bleach, were also in the basement. The homeowner stated the apartment did not smell, but that several items were broken, including drawers, the dishwasher, and door handles. Detective Hopkins asked if there were zip ties located anywhere, and they stated there were small zip ties found on top of one of the air conditioners. The homeowners forwarded photographs of the apartment confirming the damage. That in summary, on 10/8/2025, the remains of 12-year-old Jacklyn Torres-Garcia was found concealed in a 40-gallon tote behind an abandoned building on Clark Street in New Britain. Based on interviews and investigation by the New Britain and Farmington police departments and the findings of the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner, Jacqueline died in the fall of 2024 while she lived on Wellington Drive, Farmington, Connecticut, with her birth mother, Karla Garcia, and Garcia's boyfriend, Jonatan Nanita, who were responsible for her care and well-being. Also living in the home at the time was Jacqueline's younger sister and 3 younger half-siblings. Also present in the home during part of this time frame was Karla Garcia's sister, Jacklyn Garcia. During the interviews with Jonatan Nanita, Jacklyn Garcia, and Karla Garcia, they admitted to the intentional restraint, neglect, and cruelty of Jacqueline that we believe caused her death. The investigation determined that Jacqueline's remains were stored on Wellington Drive before being moved to Tremont Street in New Britain, then Clark Street in New Britain, where the remains were found in a tote. Karla Garcia and Jonatan Nanita both admitted to concealing Jacqueline's death and lying to friends, family, and authorities about her location and death. Based on the above-mentioned facts and circumstances, I believe that probable cause exists to arrest Karla Garcia of Tremont Street, New Britain, Connecticut, and charge her with murder with special circumstances, conspiracy to commit murder with special circumstances, risk of injury to a minor, unlawful restraint, first degree, intentional cruelty to a child, tampering with evidence, and violation of the requirements regarding the disposal of a dead body. That was a lot, huh? Okay, so now let's check out Jonatan Nanita's. So there's a lot of repeat here, right? So a lot of this is the same, exactly the same as Karla's probable cause affidavit. But I've highlighted parts from where I should read and also wrote down the pages. So we're going to read from page 2 here, which is here. It says, Jonatan Nanita approached New Britain investigators. He approached them while they were canvassing the area of Tremont Street and expressed that he wanted to clear his name. And he didn't do any of this. Jonatan Nanita was brought to the New Britain Police Department to be interviewed. He's a walking red flag. He's like, hi, didn't do any of this. They're like, what? We're just canvassing the neighborhood, dude. During his interview, Jonatan Nanita, who stated he was homeless after Garcia kicked him out, told New Britain detectives that Garcia contacted him and asked him to dispose of the tote that was outside her apartment building near the garage. He drove to Garcia's apartment at Tremont Street in New Britain with his current girlfriend, placed the tote in his truck, and per the instructions of Garcia, he drove to a nearby cemetery to hide the tote. He did not find a good location, so he drove the tote to Clark Street and dropped the tote in the backyard. Later in the interview, Jonatan Nanita stated that he had just come home from being incarcerated and that he was coming and going to Garcia's apartment at Wellington Drive in Farmington, Connecticut. Jonatan Nanita stated that Garcia lived at the apartment with all 5 of her children and her younger sister, Jacklyn Garcia, who goes by Kiwi. Jonatan Nanita explained that he walked into the home and he saw blood all over the walls along the staircase. Jonatan Nanita stated that he had asked what happened and they said they didn't know. Jonatan Nanita stated that Kiwi Garcia and 4 of the kids were upstairs in a room, but little Jacqueline Torres-Garcia was missing. Jonatan Nanita stated he panicked and left the apartment without knowing what happened. Jonatan Nanita stated he went back the next day and the blood was cleaned up. Jonatan Nanita stated he never saw Jacqueline Torres-Garcia again and they never talked about what happened. When detectives asked Jonatan Nanita about Karla Garcia's daughter, Jacqueline Torres-Garcia, he stated he'd not seen her in approximately 1 to 2 years. Jonatan Nanita later stated the last time he saw Jacqueline Torres-Garcia was either January or March of this year, which, can he not do math? That doesn't mean 1 or 2 years, okay? Just change your story. 1 to 2 years. or January or March of this year. Like, yeah, okay. Jonatan Nanita confirmed where he saw the blood on the wall. It was in Karla Garcia's house in Farmington. Okay, so now we skip to, this is all repeat. Okay, that's why I've crossed it out like that. It's all repeat. And now we're going to go to page 6 from around here. On 10/10/2025, I reviewed the supplemental report completed by Officer Corwick of the New Britain Police Department and the axon recordings of her two interviews with Jonatan Nanita conducted at the New Britain Police Department on 10/8/2025 and 10/9/2025. The first interview was conducted by Officer Jacklyn Corwick of the New Britain Police Department on 10/8/2025 at 2018 hours. Jonatan Nanita initially provided some background information about his relationship with Karla Garcia. He stated they'd been dating for 7 years and had 3 kids together. He stated they moved from Farmington, Connecticut to Tremont Street in New Britain at the beginning of this year, and that Garcia kicked him out of the house in August and he's homeless. He stated that Garcia had 2 children with another father, NG and Jacqueline Torres-Garcia, but only NG lived with her on Tremont Street. He did not know where Garcia's daughter, Jacqueline Torres-Garcia, was. He stated he had not seen Jacqueline Torres-Garcia in 2 years and did not know where she was staying. Jonatan Nanita confirmed his relationship with Marrero. When Officer Corwick asked Jonatan Nanita about the bin he moved with Marrero, he initially denied moving any bin. During the interview, they spoke about Jonatan Nanita's access to the Acura MDX, and Jonatan stated that the MDX was Garcia's vehicle and she'd let him use it. He said that, she had the key, he didn't. Later in the interview, Jonatan Nanita discussed the bin. He stated Garcia told him to move the bin and that he moved it and that's all he did. He stated that about 2 weeks ago, Garcia contacted him and asked him to move a bin. Officer Corwick asked Jonatan Nanita who was in the bin. He first stated he did not know who was in the bin, and then asked again and he shrugged and said, I haven't seen Jacqueline Torres-Garcia. So this now is a repeat as well. So if we just go on here, it says, Jonatan Nanita stated he was with Marrero when he moved the bin from Tremont Street to Clark Street. Officer Corwick asked Jonatan Nanita if he was at the cemetery. First he stated he was not, then corrected himself and said they did go to the cemetery with the bin, but he didn't know where to put it. He stressed he didn't know where the bin came from. He only helped Garcia move it. He stated that he moved the bin, that Garcia oh man, we read that. She started calling him a snitch. He stated Garcia never confirmed that Jacqueline Torres-Garcia was in the bin, but would give him hints. He suggested during the interview that Garcia may have killed Jacqueline Torres-Garcia. He stated that after he was released from prison, he walked into the house in Farmington and saw blood. He stated that Garcia was living there with his sister, Jacklyn Garcia. He described seeing blood on the walls going up the stairs. He asked him what was going on. He freaked out and left. Officer Corwick asked again how he knew it was Jacqueline Torres-Garcia. He stated he'd not seen Jacqueline Torres-Garcia since the blood on the wall. He stated that he never had a conversation about what happened with Jacqueline Torres-Garcia. He did not know what happened to Jacqueline Torres-Garcia until he moved the bin. Then he knew. Jonatan stated that he got no explanation about the blood on the wall or what happened to Jacqueline Torres-Garcia. He stated that no one, including Garcia, her sister, or the kids, talked about it. Jonatan Nanita maintained he did not know what happened to Jacqueline Torres-Garcia, only that Garcia, her sister, and kids were present in the house, and Jonatan stated that he left and the day after the blood was cleaned. Okay, let me just cross off here. We've done page 2, 3. We're on page 7 now. 7, 8, and 18, right? Now this, again, is the same as we read in Karla Garcia's probable cause affidavit. And so from here, I've crossed it out. It just said during the second interview, Jonatan Nanita agreed to provide his buccal DNA sample for this investigation. And now if we skip to the last page, then it says, based on the above mentioned facts and circumstances, I believe that probable cause exists to arrest Jonatan Nanita, who is currently homeless in New Britain, Connecticut, and charge him with murder with special circumstances, conspiracy to commit murder with special circumstances, risk of injury to a minor, unlawful restraint first degree, intentional cruelty to a child. Now we go to the aunt's probable cause affidavit. Jacklyn Garcia, the aunt, right? J-A-C-K. Okay, so the first few pages are exactly the same, and then we're going to go down to around page 4 here. And I think this is actually the same too as what we read in the PCA, but I just want to make sure with you. So they interviewed her and they said she was speaking. She spoke with Detective Hertzler and she slurred her words. We read that, right? And then it said Detective Hersler asked if she wanted to have a conversation and hang out a bit, and she stated, of course. So here they said they spoke and she appeared to be under the influence of drugs or alcohol. Okay, so the of course made that she was consenting to the interview. Detective Hersler attempted to build rapport with Jacqueline as he sat across from her. Jacqueline stated that she went to jail, so this is a little different, that's why I'm reading this now, on December 4th of 2024 and served 8 months. Detective Hersler commented that there was a lot going on tonight, referring to Jacqueline and Karla being located. Jacqueline commented that Jonatan Nanita was not safe. Jacqueline stated that her sister's front door would not lock because he broke in and effed it up. Jacqueline stated that today he came to the house and began talking crazy and threatened her. Jacqueline stated that Jonatan and her sister have 3 kids together and that Karla has 5 or 6 kids in total. Jacqueline confirmed that Karla had 2 kids with someone else and 3 with Jonatan. Jacqueline stated the kids live with Karla on Tremont Street in New Britain. When asked what kids were with her today, she stated NG and Jacqueline and mentioned MN. Detective Hersler advised that there were 2 other kids and Jacqueline mentioned JN and AN. Detective Hersler asked if all the kids were there today and Jacqueline said, yep. When asked where they are now, Jacqueline could not answer. Jacqueline stated that the kids are good and never been in harm's way. Jacqueline stated she last saw all of them today. Jacqueline said the last time she saw Jacqueline, that's Mimi, at her sister's house this morning, and then immediately corrected herself to say her older sister's house at Kelsey Street. Detective Hersler stated that he was there this evening and did not see Jacqueline. It should be noted that Jacqueline, the aunt, appeared intoxicated at this point in the interview to a point where she urinated in her pants. That on 10/9 of 2025 at approximately 19:39, Detective Hersler interviewed Jacqueline again at the New Britain Police Department. Jacqueline had been transported to the New Britain headquarters in an unmarked detective vehicle, unrestrained, and told this interview was voluntary. Jacqueline mentioned that she was stressed and commented that if she knew coming out of Niantic was going to be like this, she would have stayed. I think that's the prison she was in, right? Jacqueline stated, this is crazy, and that she had to take her Facebook down. That's the least of her worries, right? Jacqueline stated that she returned home on 8/15 of 2025 from Niantic prison. Jacqueline stated her kids were taken from her and were adopted. She began rambling about 10/8/2025 and how the cops were at the house. She stated she did not remember the interview room from the night before and stated her pants were wet and that she thought she peed herself. Jacqueline stated she had just found out everything yesterday but admitted that she had not seen Jacqueline in months. During this interview, Jacqueline referred to her by her nickname Mimi. That's the little girl's nickname, right? Jacqueline appeared of sound mind and did not appear to be under the influence during this interview. Jacqueline finally stated that she believed she was being interviewed because her niece was found on Clark Street, behind an abandoned building in a bin. Jacqueline stated she lived in Farmington with Karla, and then Jonatan, Jacqueline, NG, JN, and MN. Jacqueline said that she did not think that AN had been born yet. Jacqueline said Jonatan was disrespectful and would call her names. Jacqueline said Jonatan would also physically assault Karla. Jacqueline initially said her sister's kids were well fed and well dressed and that she had never seen an issue with the kids while she was there. Jacqueline stated the kids did attend school and she would get up with them and do their hair before school. This is a woman who abused her own infant daughter, like broke legs and everything, okay? Jacqueline said the kids took a bus from the apartment complex. She stated she moved in with, I don't know how to say this name, okay, Gugno. This is a difficult one, sorry about that. In New Haven from September to early December of 2024 and did not have a way to see the family. Jacqueline stated she saw all 4 kids before she went to New Haven in September. She stated when she came out of jail on 8/15/2025, she was reunited with Karla and the kids, but stated she did not see Mimi. Jacqueline stated she was told Mimi was at a friend's house. That Jacqueline stated she wanted to ask more questions, but that Karla stated she could not talk to her because Jonatan was always there. Jacqueline stated she was worried about the kids because there were days her sister would not answer the phone. It should be noted that New Britain Detective Hertzler had previously interviewed Giogno, who had voluntarily contacted police after seeing the news. They stated that Jacqueline showed her a photograph of Mimi while she was zip-tied, severely malnourished, and laying on dog pee pads to use the bathroom. That is sick. She confirmed that Jacqueline told her that Mimi was experiencing extreme abuse from Karla and Jonatan, and that Jacqueline never reported the abuse to police. Jacqueline was asked about the photograph and said that Mimi had short hair and was skinny. Jacqueline stated that Mimi was lying on the floor sleeping. Jacqueline admitted that Mimi was restrained with zip ties. That Jacqueline said she last saw Mimi before she went to jail, when she was living at the condo in Farmington. Jacqueline stated that it was summer still. Jacqueline had difficulty providing an exact date of when she last saw Mimi, but said at the end of summer, because it had started to get cold. Jacqueline estimated possibly in August of 2024. Jacqueline was confronted with the fact that Mimi had now been at a family friend's for approximately 75 days. Jacqueline said she did not ask questions. She said she did not know the girl was gone. That on the occasion, Jacqueline asked Karla if Jonatan had done something to Mimi. Jacqueline stated that Karla began crying and stated she did not know. Jacqueline stated this conversation happened last week, referring to the first week of October of 2025. That's the first time you're going to ask that question? Approximately 125 hours into the interview, Detective Mordasowitz entered the interview room and informed Jacqueline that the body they found was Mimi. Jacqueline stated she had just found out today on 10/9/2025. Detective Mordasowitz told Jacqueline that Karla told detectives that Jacqueline was there when this happened and that she had taken the photo of Mimi zip-tied. It appeared that Jacqueline could not recall if she took the photograph, for she tilted her head and asked herself if she took the picture. Jacqueline was asked what happened to her niece, and she shook her head, as Detective Mordasowitz said that she helped zip-tie Mimi. Jacqueline acknowledged this, but commented that she did not come up with the idea to use zip ties. Jonatan did. Who cares who came up with it? You all did it. Jacqueline admitted to seeing her niece zip-tied on a couple of occasions. Jacqueline was asked how long Mimi was deprived of food, and she stated she did not know, but that when she last saw her, she was already skinny. Jacqueline was asked several times during this interview what happened. Detective Mordasowitz informed Jacqueline that Mimi died in her bed from malnutrition from not eating for weeks. Jacqueline stated when she went to Farmington, she observed her skinny. She further stated Mimi was always in the corner of the house and that zip ties started at the end. That Jacqueline was asked how Mimi died, and she said she did not know, but knew it was not from malnutrition. That's scary. All of it's scary, right? Jacqueline stated that she suffered malnutrition for a long time. She said her sister made her cut Mimi's hair because it was natty. Jacqueline stated she used to tell people to feed Mimi. Jacqueline provided an example of when Angie made soup, but did not make it for Mimi until Jacqueline told her to. Jacqueline stated while she was in prison, she used to ask Karla about how Mimi was. It was later confirmed that DOC, the Department of Corrections, located approximately 1,003 phone calls between Karla and Jacqueline. These calls had not yet been screened or reviewed. That during this interview, Jacqueline was confronted about how she witnessed the abuse take place and even photographed Mimi while she was zip-tied. Jacqueline nodded her head in the affirmative and stated she no longer had that photograph. Jacqueline stated that she had a new phone. She was asked why she would take a photograph of Mimi in that state, and she stated that she asked Karla if she could take off the zip ties. Karla told her to remove the ones from her hands. Jacqueline stated that Mimi was only zip-tied on her hands in her bed in her bedroom. Jacqueline stated this went on for a while, because when she got there, she was like that. Jacqueline was unable to provide specifics on Mimi's death or who had placed her in the bin, but said Mimi died in a different way, not from malnutrition. Whoa. Jacqueline stated she had nothing to do with this. She said there was one incident in which Mimi peed or defecated herself, and she watched Jonatan pick her up by her shoulders and bring her downstairs. Jacqueline said Jonatan hit her and she heard crying. Jacqueline said Karla ran downstairs and the two began arguing. Jacqueline said she did ask Karla about Mimi while she was in prison. Jacqueline estimated this conversation happened in January. Detective Mordasowitz discussed the movement of the bin that Mimi was placed in. Jacqueline appeared shocked when he said that Jacqueline was placed in the bin and moved to Tremont Street. Jacqueline stated the cemetery where her mother's buried was dug up. Jacqueline stated that Karla told her that Jonatan moved the bin with his Acura and that Jonatan said he had to get rid of the bin because it was beginning to smell in the car. Jacqueline said the house on Tremont Street did not smell when she lived there and Mimi was not there at any point. That Jacqueline said she was instructed to watch Mimi and if Mimi urinated on herself, she would shower her. I hate to think what that was like. It's probably cold showers, right? When asked if she ever participated in hitting Mimi, Jacqueline took several seconds to respond, saying she used to grab her in a bear hug and bring her downstairs. Jacqueline stated the shower was downstairs. Jacqueline reported that NG would hit Mimi as well. That Jacqueline confirmed, I'm making that face because I'm not so sure I believe that, and if so, it's because of the abuse of these monsters, right? That Jacqueline confirmed she did not call police, an ambulance, or report this violent behavior to any other agency, and instead watched the neglect progress. Jacqueline said she would sneak Mimi food and water, and when she would take her downstairs to wash her face, Mimi would drink the sink water. Shame. When she took her downstairs to wash her face, Mimi would drink the sink water. The interview concluded and Jacqueline was offered McDonald's. That prior to coming into Jacqueline's interview, New Britain detective Mordasowitz had interviewed Karla at length about the treatment and death of Mimi. Karla confirmed that her sister Jacqueline not only participated in the abuse when she was at the Farmington house, but photographed Mimi zip-tied. That a collect criminal history search showed that Jacqueline was arrested on 6/27/2023 in New Britain for 2 counts of risk of injury to a child and 2 counts of assault in the 3rd degree. Jacqueline subsequently served time in York Correctional Institution. She's now supervised by DOC parole officer Alyssa DeJean out of Hartford. On 10/11/2025 at approximately 1400 hours, I contacted Alyssa and left her a voicemail requesting a callback. On 10/12 of 2025, I spoke with Alyssa and briefed her on the incident. Alyssa advised that she would lodge a remand for Jacqueline. That on 10/11/2025, I spoke with DCF Intake Program Supervisor as Alice Ned and requested all documented incidents or referrals involving the Garcia family to include Jacqueline. Alice provided me with Jacklyn Garcia's DCF case, which noted on 2/19/2022, CCMC Dr. Katie Wrong reported physical abuse of 6-month-old IT, Jacklyn Garcia's daughter. Jacqueline reported to CCMC staff that IT woke up irritable and appeared to be favoring her left leg. An X-ray showed a possible past injury or fracture to this leg, where it had begun to heal. Jacqueline was further interviewed about IT's injury and reported the baby fell off the bed and hit her head on the bedpost. Jacqueline did not believe the baby was injured because she stated that she caught her before falling. Jacqueline reported symptoms of postpartum depression and admitted to feeling overwhelmed and needing help. Jacqueline did not appear bonded with the baby as a result. Both IT and her 2-year-old sibling were removed from her custody. A scan examination was conducted on IT, which showed that she sustained several fractures to her skull, ribs, and femur. She also had several bruises and injuries that ranged from 2 to 11 weeks old. The injuries were consisted with inflicted injury. On 10/11/2022, Jacqueline consented to the termination of parental rights. That on 10/12/2025, I traveled to Wellington Drive in Farmington and met with the current homeowners. The homeowners moved from Arizona to the Wellington address on 7/3/2025. When they moved into the unit, they stated it was a mess and very dirty. And we'd read about the used stroller and all of that earlier, right? And the small zip ties found on top of one of the air conditioners. The homeowners forwarded photographs of the apartment which confirmed the damage. That in summary, Jacklyn Garcia admitted to residing with Karla Garcia and her family while they lived at a condo in Farmington believed to be Wellington in Farmington. During this time, Jacqueline admitted to observing her 11-year-old niece, Jacklyn Garcia, zip-tied in the corner of the residence, where she was deprived of food and water and physically beaten when she urinated or defecated on herself. Jacqueline admitted that Jacqueline was extremely thin and was not well cared for. Jacqueline observed at least one incident in which Jonatan picked Jacqueline, Mimi Torres, up by her shoulders, took her downstairs and physically beat her as she cried. Jacqueline, the aunt, did not contact authorities about the abuse, neglect, or suspicious disappearance of her niece, even after having been involved in similar situations previously involving her own children. That based on the facts and circumstances herein, I have probable cause to believe that Jacklyn Garcia has committed the crimes of cruelty to persons, unlawful restraint in the first degree, reckless endangerment in the first degree, and 4 counts of risk of injury. I respectfully request that a warrant for the arrest of Jacklyn Garcia be issued. Well, we certainly know much more about Mimi Torres' case than we knew before. And man, it's just so heartbreaking. I hope that there will be justice for Jacqueline Mimi Torres-Garcia, who was only 11 years old when she died, based on the timeline that the police have given us. And what a terrible life she lived, especially with her mother. I mean, she had stayed with her paternal grandmother until she was 8 or 9 years old, meaning for the last 2 years of her life. It seems like when she then moved to her mother, then the mother stayed with that freaking boyfriend, and then her sister was there in and out the house too. Then all this abuse started. I mean, that is just, it's so devastating. So thank you for watching. If you made it to the end of this video, just know I really appreciate it. Please like, not because you like the topic. I know it's difficult to be like, yeah, hit the like button on a topic like this, but just so that people can get the information. That action helps YouTube to show it to more people. So if they want the factual information from these documents, then they'll know where to find it, right? So if you wouldn't mind liking and sharing and leaving some comments below as well, I will be reading those, and I will most certainly keep you posted on this case. And whenever the trial dates will be set, I do not know yet if they'll be streamed or not, or what will happen, if they'll all be on trial together or separately, who knows. I would think, based on cases that we've seen like this, somebody's going to take a plea deal somewhere, right? In order to then turn on the others, to testify against them. I think that's very possible. Karla will likely do that, right? It's going to be Karla or Jonatan. Which one's going to do that first? We shall see. So, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again in the next one. Remember, if you see something, say something. It could literally save a life. And I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe.